it's a collection of animations. I think it's about 8 years ago that I worked on this. It was produced for the BBC by an animation company based up in Yorkshire called Fettle Animation. And what it was testimonies of Holocaust survivors who actually lived in Yorkshire, so were quite local to the production company, and really just talking about their experiences. Some absolutely amazing stories. There's one who, a French woman who lived in Paris, and she basically escaped with her life when she was a child by the Nazis knocked on the door, and a very, very quick thinking neighbour from across the corridor literally went over and pretended that this child was her child and said, "What are you doing over here? Come on, come back, your dinner's ready," and took her away, and she escaped capture. Amazing, amazing stories. And there's one which is of a survivor of Auschwitz as well, which is pretty harrowing. And but we could have in our question and answer session, we could actually talk about like how on earth do you write music for that? Okay, so these were essentially 5-minute long films. Okay, so they made a larger film of it, so like a 40-minute film, which was shown on BBC Two. And then I think for schools as well, because I mean this is quite important television. I think you probably agree, because these are people who you know, as time goes on, there are fewer and fewer people who can actually give us first-hand testimonies of what happened in Germany, wartime Germany, in Czechoslovakia and Poland. So so it's actually quite important that these stories are told, and the animation was very, very sensitively done, because it was really just for it was not only for adult viewers as well, but it was also for children as well. And the film was actually nominated for a BAFTA, which is really good news as well. So and deserved, because it was really nicely done. So we're not going to talk about. I'm not going to show you music with the footage without the music. We'll just talk about how you kind of do something like this, because it's challenging. Okay, you've got to be sensitive. Okay, I mean, if someone says, right, okay, here's a story of a Holocaust survivor, there are alarm bells that go. You can't you can't give it too much melodrama, can you? You can't really sell it. So the music has really got to support the story without guiding I mean, the stories are powerful enough as it is. So you don't need you don't need the composer to sort of like say, right, okay, this is really dramatic, so I'm going to sort of layer on dramatic music. Interesting thing about this I was working with the animation company, but also there was a BBC executive who was really keen to get involved in the way that the music worked. And so these 5-minute films, I thought it needs a little bit of music. It doesn't need that much music, but she was saying it needs music throughout the whole thing. So that was the first problem that I had. I thought that that's going to be difficult. How the music will just kind of lose its meaning. I think if we just have just music plastered over the whole thing, but that's what they wanted. So you have to kind of. You could put up a little bit of a kind of opposition to it, but if that's what they want, then you've got to work within those parameters. There were times when they were wanting, no, it needs to be more dramatic. The music for Doctor Who was invoked in one phone discussion. Okay, it needs to be more da-da-da, no, more timpani and more percussion and things like that. And I was going, no, it's not. It doesn't need it. It really doesn't need it. I think the story is the power's in the story. It's not going to be in the music. Okay, I thought what I'd do is try and give it the feel of home for her, the music. Okay, something musically that will remind you of Czechoslovakia rather than her life over here. So what can you do? Folk music. Okay, so beauty of like a lot of folk music is most of it is out of copyright, so you can sort of take ideas from that and use that. So I kind of did a bit of trawling around of Czechoslovakian folk music, and just completely by accident, so you hear that da 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 bam 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 bam. That's not how the folk tune goes. the folk tune was a really up-tempo, kind of like party piece. Da 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 ba 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 yeah da 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 bum. But I mean, it's something about it I've just found very memorable and just like grabbed me as a really, really strong tune. So I thought it's a bit like the People's Piazza, taking a theme and just going with it and just doing something completely different with it. Okay, so same type of thing there. Just taking that jaunty major key piece and just taking it into the minor key and making it much more melancholic. And some of the incidental music as well. Once again, the tension as the Nazis are knocking on the door of Czechoslovakia or what else. You could kind of give it lots of tension and jeopardy music and things like that, which was kind of like suggested. But again, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just keep it really, really dark. Let the story do the job, and you just kind of support that. Okay.